In this video, I'm going to teach you how you can start doing the thing that you've been meaning to do for as long as you can remember, potentially years. That thing that still feels somehow unfulfilled. I'm going to teach you what's holding you back and why you haven't taken action on it so far and what you can do so that you can take action on it in the future. It's all about that little voice in your head. And what you need is to know what to say back to that little inner critic when it starts talking you out of doing the things that you know would make you the happiest. I'm Leah and I'm a coach, and it is my total passion to help people figure this kind of stuff out. So let's do that. Here we go. The number one thing that kills your dreams and kills your motivation is your negative self-talk, that little inner critic, that voice in your head, your little voice. It's got lots of names. It's the thing that holds you back more than anything in life. It seems to never sleep. It seems to always want to tell you why you're not good enough to do something, why it is that it's not the right time, why it is that you're too old to start something, why it is that you're too young to start something, should have started something sooner, should have all your ducks in a row. That little voice in your head is the thing that kills your motivation. You will go through cycles where you kind of feel really unmotivated for a while, and then you'll kind of hit this place where you're like, oh gosh, you know, that thing, I should really get back to that thing. And then all of a sudden, the moment you consider it, that little nag in your head goes, nah, it's not the right time. And unfortunately, we listen to it. We need something to say back to that little voice in our head in that moment. Otherwise, it's like it wins the argument and it kills your dreams and it kills your motivation. But there's a way for you to win the argument. I know it sounds funny because I'm kind of saying that you're having this argument with yourself, but you are. And the moment you get that and really, buy into that, you can start to actually make a difference to yourself. Because you are in an argument with yourself. You've got this ancient little voice in your head that's trying to protect you. And what it ends up doing is overprotecting you to the point that you actually don't do anything, right? It just wants to protect you from failing, but it protects you from freaking everything. So you never do anything that has you feel like you're breaking through or making progress. It's just holding you back. So you've got to say something to it. And that's actually as simple as it is. You've got to say something back. You've got to retort. You've got to respond to that little voice and say something. I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that. I'm actually going to give you some really specific examples of the kinds of things that your little voice is going to say to you, and exactly what to say back in those moments, so that you've got really clear examples on hand to actually use in the moment. Because it's in the moment when you're flustered and you're like, you don't understand. It's like so easy to get lost in the voice that you're hearing in your head that's so nagging and negative, right? You need something that's going to be like right there on hand for you to use immediately. So I'm going to give you some super specific examples of exactly what you can say, which is the truth, back to that little nagging voice in your head. It actually might be good for you to write these down, simply because, it's easy to, when you're in that flustered state, it's easy to not think clearly. In fact, when we're experiencing fear, which the little voice is trying to tune you into, we think in the most cloudy way. The moment we get through the fear, we get clarity. So if you have something on hand for yourself, makes a big difference. So one of the things that your little voice will say to you, and says to me and says to everybody, is that it's not the right time to start. You'll say, I've got to get back to that thing I've been meaning to do. I should have started this years ago and I haven't quite done it. Your little voice will go, it's not really the right time to start. And I can't tell you how many times I've believed that when I've heard that in my little voice. Here's what you say back. You say, it's never, ever going to feel like the right time to start. I just have to start. And you leave it at that. You override that inner critic simply by saying, it's just time to start. It's never going to feel like the right time. Okay, that was number one. This is number two. The second thing that your voice is going to say to you, and it's a good one, it'll say, Leah, you're not motivated enough to start this right now. Here's what you say back. You say, you don't have to be motivated to start, It's lovely if you are. It makes it so easy, but you don't have to be motivated to start. Motivation actually follows action. Like, you start to take an action, even if you don't feel like it. If you start to take action, you will start to feel that motivation come over you. The motivation comes after the action. Action precedes motivation. Here's the thing. The moment you say that to yourself, when you hear that chatter in your head about, yeah, you're not motivated enough to start, and you actually tune back into this idea that you don't need motivation to start. That's just a story keeping you from doing the thing, taking the action, being the person you want to do. It all changes. It's like that story about needing motivation just goes, it's like you just don't believe it anymore. That's 2. Number 3, you'll probably hear your little voice say to you that you're not going to get it right anyway, so let's not start now, right? You're going to fail, so let's not start. Well, here's the thing. This is what you say. You say, actually, I'm going to experience way more fails before I ever experience a real significant win, because that's just the way it works. You have to have some fails before you experience the wins. You have to be willing to experience delayed gratification, not instant gratification, and that's just the way it works. The moment you say that, it completely drowns out that little voice telling you that you're going to not get it right the first time, because it doesn't matter. Number 4, if your inner critic tells you that you need to be more prepared to start, like you don't have all your ducks in a row and as a result you can't start, you just say, I'm never ever going to feel like I've got all my ducks in a row. I just have to start. Never ever be an end to the amount of things I could do to prepare for something. And if I wait to feel like I've done all those things, it's never going to happen. Number 5, your inner critic will tell you that it is too scary to start, right? And it is scary, 100%. So you kind of have to agree with yourself in that way. But the scariness is a good thing. The scariness means that it matters to you. Like, it's actually such an important thing to you. It's such a big part of what you hope your future is going to be, that it is scary to start it. That's the good news. You say, the fear is my evidence that I should start this. I hope you're noticing as we go through these that we're kind of cruel to ourselves. Like, our little voice is saying some kind of messed up stuff to try to derail us from doing what we're like passionate and dying to start, right? So the next one is the same. It's number 6, and your little voice will say to you, Leah, you just should have started this sooner, right? As a way to derail you from actually taking action in the stuff that you're passionate about. Here's what you say. You say, yeah, I totally should have taken action sooner, in brackets, but you derailed me so many times, right? I should have taken action sooner, but the fact that it's still coming back to me to take action, the fact that I still think about this and I still keep circling back to it, that's my evidence that I should be taking action now. Say, the reason that I'm still thinking about it means that it's that important to me, that it's actually that important to do the thing. And number 7, this is a really big one. This is a derailer for sure across the board, I think for everyone, is that when you get a little spark of motivation and you kind of start to think about what you really, really want and what you should be doing, your mind will say, you don't have enough time for that right now. And we believe it. We buy into it. We go, actually, yeah, that will be hard to make the time for that. But here's what you say back. You say, yeah, I'm going to have to be pretty intentional about making time for this, because I'll never, ever, ever feel like I've got an abundance of time where I can just do anything I want, right? You say, but it's that important to me that if I got to 10 years in the future and I hadn't made any progress on this, I would regret not having made time for this. When you get stuck in your head and you feel like you need some help trying to figure out what to say back to that little inner critic that's just nagging you, I hope you think about this video and that it gives you some ideas of how to respond in the moment in a way that allows you to break through and actually start to take some action. I really hope this helps.